While President Trump and the president of the European Commission today agreed to work toward resolving trade disputes. Let's watch that.
We agreed today, first of all, to work together towards zero tariffs, zero non-tariff barriers, and zero subsidies on non-auto industrial goods. We will also work to reduce barriers and increase trade in services, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, medical products, as well as soybeans.
Well, this comes a day, that was the key phrase, by the way, soybeans. This came a little bit after the time that the Trump administration announced a $12 billion bailout to farmers harmed as a result of Trump's ongoing trade war. It didn't sit well with some Republicans. Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin said, this is becoming more and more like a Soviet type of economy here. Sabrina, it seems to me that he's feeling the heat. He put on that little show today. They haven't resolved the problem. This was just relief.
The president is realizing that those who've been hit hardest by his tariffs are the very people who voted for him, the agricultural industry. But this is a short-term fix for a self-inflicted wound. And a lot of Republicans have panned the proposal. Now, the question is, what are they going to do about it? Just a couple weeks ago, the Senate voted to limit the president's authority on tariffs, but it was non-binding. So are they actually going to now have more support, perhaps, for sending something more definitive to his desk that would actually require congressional approval before he were to pursue any further policy on tariffs?
When I watched that press conference day in the Rose Garden, I kept thinking back to 2 weeks ago, the end of the NATO summit in Brussels, where the president came out afterwards and said, all these countries are now going to be chipping in more for the common defense, for NATO funding. We still don't know what exactly that agreement was. Macron from France basically denied that there was any new agreement here. There was nothing in that press conference that we could sink our teeth into. It was all a bunch of, we're starting a dialogue. I think it's going to go a good place. He's trying to change the subject from what happened yesterday with the $12 billion
Well, finally, more evidence of Trump's love for all things Fox. The New York Times reports that during the president's trip to Helsinki, the First Lady, that was Melania's TV on-air Air Force One, was tuned to CNN. When the president boarded, Trump reportedly raged at his staff for violating a rule that the White House entourage should begin each trip tuned to Fox. The Times reports that in an internal email chain, White House officials confirmed that tuning the TVs to Fox would be standard operating procedure going forward. Aaron, State TV. That's what it looks like, at least on Air Force One. You can't tune on anything else.
The First Lady spokeswoman responded today by saying she can watch whatever TV station she wants and talked about.
Who says?
But the thing is, like...
I'm serious. The President of the United States heard that the First Lady's TV was set to CNN, so he had it changed and said it must always be CNN.
If this is the approach that's being taken within the White House and what he insists upon, even for members of his own family, I think that says a lot about exactly what kind of bubble of information he wants around us.
This isn't exactly organic farming here. These people are being cultivated with thought.
Well, I thought what was really interesting is it looked as if this was the latest example of Melania Trump saying, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. She has done that multiple times.
Like the coat?
And she didn't say
like the coat?
Like the troublesome coat. And she didn't say that these reports were wrong. She pretty much put out a statement that said, if I want to watch CNN, that's what I'm going to watch.
She would be a great guest on Harper.
The bottom line is this is a president who is so sensitive to criticism that he can only live within his own echo chamber. And this, of course, comes as he continues to attack the press, as the White House is barring reporters from events, as he was telling people just yesterday, don't listen to or believe what you hear in the news. So it's also part of this broader authoritarian view that he has of the media, where he is now normalizing this, the attacks that are being made on the freedom of the press. He ultimately is setting a tone from the top that tries to discredit the media and the institutions that are a key part of this democracy.
Gene, you never think of 1984 with the TV that's always on?
Yeah.
It's always watching and always Big Brother's always talking.
Yeah, I mean, that's what could be happening, but he needs to know that people are watching him as well.
Thank you. Wow, you turned the tables there.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.